and welcome to the channel. My name is Armageddon. Today we're going to try this week's Midweek Magic event, which is Avatar Jump-In. Now by the time this video gets up on the channel, the Midweek Magic event will be over, but this will give you an idea of what to expect if you decide to try the regular Avatar Jump-In event. Midweek Magic is free, of course. You have to pay to get into the regular Jump-In event. And as always with Midweek Magic, your first two wins, you get a rare, or sometimes even a mythic rare card, and a mystery cosmetic for the third. So let's dive in. I haven't tried Avatar yet, I haven't had an opportunity, and I haven't been able to do a lot of research about it, so I'm not sure what to expect. We lucked out when we did the Final Fantasy Jump-In to build a synergistic red-green landfall deck. Now, the half decks in Jump-In are carefully balanced, so when I played it, it seemed quite strong, but red-green was actually one of the weaker archetypes in Final Fantasy Draft, so I don't want to come to any conclusions about how good a specific archetype is based on how it performs in Jump-In. So, let's see, what do we have here? Zuko Firebending X. And Firebending is you add red mana during combat equal to the number for Firebending. So in Zuko's case, it's depending on how many experience counters you have. And you have to cast spells during combat to get experience counters. So initially, Zuko Firebending Master doesn't do anything. But as you cast more spells during combat, he gets better. So I presume this will have a lot of pump spells. Earth Rumble, based on the featured card, this looks like a Ferocious deck. Ferocious was a quasi-mechanic from Khans of Tarkir and Dragonstorm, where its power matters, where it matters if you have creatures with power 4 or greater. So that seems to be what this deck wants you to do. There might also be some +1/+1 counter synergies. And then gliding, so flyers. And the featured card is Momo. So this is flyers, pretty straightforward. And Momo's great because you can play him on turn 1 and then he gives all the rest of your flyers a discount. And they pump Momo up when they enter. So I'm not sure what to pick here. I think I like the idea of going with one of the bending mechanics. So let's take Zuko. Alright. And then what to pick next? 5-color shrines. That's interesting. This is the first time I've ever seen a 5-color half deck. Not so sure. Pretty sure that's not going to pair very well with the Zuko. I'm not sure any of these half decks will. Azula also gets experience counters, and she also has firebending. Firebending doesn't seem particularly strong in a mono black half deck, but assuming we open Azula, she would be good in a Zuko deck, even though, of course, Zuko and Azula don't get along in the show. And then underwater, these are the moonfish from the North Pole. So I'm not sure if there aren't, I don't think, that many vehicles to tap your creatures down without having them to attack. So I'm not sure if Tui and La aren't just going to trade off the first time you attack with them. So you get to draw a card if you untap with them and they attack. I think we'll go with Azula. Azula's got firebending, so she'll at least pair well with the red pump spells I'm assuming and combat tricks we'll have in the Zuko packet. And there might be other instants in black that we can cast during combat as well. And I can't see the Zuko featured card, so I can't quite. Well, I guess we can take it and then we'll look at the card once we open the deck. So let's take a quick look at the deck. All right. So you get the experience counter in both cases. So they also synergize with each other in that each of them enables you to get experience counters. So we might be able to pick up more experience counters with these two packets paired together than we would if we were playing them separately. All right, so let's take a quick look. So the lessons are interesting. In Strixhaven, lessons were sideboard cards that you got out of the sideboard with spells that had the learn mechanic on them. So you could either rummage with a spell that had learn or get a lesson out of your sideboard. So I'm assuming that the lessons in Avatar can also be fetched out of the sideboard with spells that learn. But that's really not how it works in Avatar. There's no learn mechanic in Avatar. So these aren't spells that you get out of the sideboard. Instead, lessons are a synergy piece, and there are cards that synergize with mostly, I think it's the number of lessons you have in your graveyard, that sort of thing. So there's no specific card advantage of getting them out of the sideboard. They're just spells in your deck, and they synergize with some of the cards. Anyway, Firebending Lesson, that's pretty good. It's instant speed, cheap to cast, so easy to cast during combat. Frantic Confrontation, Combat Trick, Pump Spell. Zula Always Lies is also an instant. Basically a combat trick. Could be removal. Corrupt Court Official, your basic black discard creature at 2 mana. Some sacrifice synergy. There's a sacrifice sub-theme as far as I can tell in Avatar, but I don't know how well supported it is. This can be activated at instant speed, and it's only 1 mana, whereas often with common or uncommon sacrifice outlets, it costs 2 or 3 mana to activate them. But the downside is you can only activate this once each turn, so you can't pump it up multiple times. But it's nice that you can do it at instant speed. Daily Indoctrination is a sorcery. So non-land permanent, that could be pretty good certainly in draft, where you're playing mostly creatures as a discard effect. But it's nice that it also has Earthbend too. Although we don't have any Earthbend synergies or synergies with turning lands into creatures. But at least that means it's not a completely dead card if you draw it when your opponent's empty-handed. Epic Downfall reprinted. Sorcery, so not synergistic with Zuko, but a good removal spell. Fist of Flame, not sure how much we'll be able to enable Fist of Flame with card draw. I haven't seen any extra additional card draw so far. So giving Trample and drawing cantrip, being a cantrip is fine, but this isn't the best combat trick. But it's instant speed, so it synergizes with Zuko, and Azula can help cast it with her Firebend. Lightning Strike is great. Lost in Memories, I think it would be better if it's whenever this creature attacks, because by the time you've dealt combat damage to a player, combat is over, so flashing back, say, a combat trick is useless. So I think this isn't the greatest. It does have Flash, so you can play it during combat, so that's something. Prowess, we do seem to have a reasonable number of instants and sorceries. Basic 2-drop Rummage, we've looked at Zuko, we've looked at Zula. Now you can pump Zula multiple times, and you can use her firebending mana, or Zuko's firebending mana, to activate her ability. So if you've got a couple experience counters and a bunch of mana lying around, you can turn Azula into a real big evasive threat with Menace. Dark Deal, that doesn't seem particularly good to me. Fire Nation Ambushers, flash it in during combat, which is great with Zuko. And ambushing can be useful. Trebuchet, we've seen this in the Lord of the Rings set. I forget the name of the card, but there was I think it had Defender as well, but an artifact creature, might have even been a wall, that made, I think, boulder tokens. I can't remember the exact name, but anyway, this is basically the same thing. Vehicle, that's useful. Okay, this is instant speed. 4 mana, a little pricey, but adding mana with firebending can help cast it. 4 mana for a 3/3 haste, not great, but it's something. Okay, I think the only lesson we have that deals damage is firebending lesson to go with low and Lee. But Zuko is a noble, Azula is a noble. Do I have any other nobles? I have 3 nobles. Not sure who the other noble is. I won't worry about it. Oh, probably Mai, I guess. Yeah, okay. So, tutoring up a lesson or noble seems pretty good. And giving them lifelink is nice. Fire Nation attacks, not bad. Has flashback as well. Oh, they have a cycle of land cyclers, I see. Canyon Crawler, just a big dumb death touch creature that if you need to hit your land drops, you can cycle. That it's cycling for 2 is definitely, I think, a bit of a drawback. The land cyclers in Lord of the Rings only cost 1, and they were great. But that it costs 2 mana, that's a bit pricey. I suppose if it were 1 mana, it would be unbalanced. Although I didn't think the land cycling cards in Lord of the Rings were crazy good. I mean, Lorien Revealed in blue and the Troll of Khazad-dûm in black were very good, and the other ones were fine. So I don't know why they didn't just do cycling 1. That would, I think, make these cards a lot better. But our top end, anyway, are the land cyclers. And then Thriving Moor and Thriving Bluff for dual lands. Okay, so let's jump into some games and see how this deck does. Okay, and I should probably not be copying other content creators too much. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's dive in. On the draw, I am on the draw, so I'm more likely to hit land 3. And it's more likely to be a red source, because the 2 lands I have in hand are swamps. So, I mean, Azula Always Lies might be good or it might not be, depends on if opponent plays a 1 toughness creature. But any land lets us play Azula. So I think we'll try this. Although we do get a free mulligan, I see. Alright, well, if we get a free mulligan, I think I'll take it. Because I think we can do better. Alright. 3 lands, and we've got both colors. Corrupt Court Official for hand disruption. Daily Censor. Corrupt Court Official is great with because it's good sacrifice fodder. We've got removal, although it's only for big creatures. I think we can try this. And then with 3 lands, I'm not sure. I've drawn land 4, so I don't think I want to cycle the Mongoose Lizard. We'll play tap land, choose red. Opponent leads with Thriving Isle, they're blue-black. Let's see if they lead with Corrupt Court-Official, which Azula Always Lies would be good against. And what do you know? Alright, I think I'll discard Swamp. Alright, Daily Sensor. Not so hot here. Azula Always Lies. Let's return the favor here. And opponent's got fewer cards in hands. They might have to discard an actual spell, or the land they were hoping to use as their third land drop. So I think we've come out ahead on this one. Well, they discarded an actual spell. Uh-oh. I could take it because I've got Azula Always Lies. But I think I'm going to want to get on the board with Daily Sensor, although trading here when I want sacrifice fodder for Daily Sensors, not great, so I think we'll take it. Daily Sensor, not a good blocker, it must be said. Lightning Strike. I think I want to Lightning Strike Jodie before opponent untaps with her. So let's just do that now. Opponent's got something to do in response. That was unfortunate. So I don't like our chances. Opponent is down to 2 cards, but I don't have a target for Epic Downfall. Oof. And opponent's got 1 mana up. Alright, I think I will trade here. Actually, I guess opponent could use Octopus form. So I basically lose the Corrupt Court Official. I would get Octopus form out of their hand, but I think we'll take it for now. Tap land is a little annoying. So Azula Always Lies. Would have much preferred untap land. Oh, it untaps. Oh, and it gets loot. Okay, I should have paid closer attention. Reading the card tells you what the card does. Alright, so that was pretty bad. I definitely misplayed that. I should have paid closer attention to the text on Octopus form. So I'm assuming opponent sacrifices Corrupt Court Official to make a copy of Jodie. They don't. They can only do that at sorcery speed. Alright, we're 1 mana away from Mongoose Lizard. So I think it's Hold Up Azula Always Lies. And attacking is pretty bad here because they can block with the Corrupt Court Official. And then I'd have to use Azula Always Lies. I guess maybe I should use Azula Always Lies on the Corrupt Court Official now. Or we can do it at the beginning of opponent's upkeep. I think we'll do that. I guess if I had done that on main phase, I could have attacked with Daily Censor. Oh, I can do both modes. Alright, that worked. So now they don't have a sacrifice fodder for Jody. What did they mill? Daily Indoctrination. So they can get that back. But they can only cast it... they can cast it because they can waterbend. So they can cast it now. Which means, I guess I can cycle Mongoose Lizard. So I at least get some value out of it. That was still pretty annoying. Okay, Dragon Moose. Okay, so opponent is empty-handed. And I've got 6 mana, so I can Epic Downfall, Hama, play Dragon Moose, attack for 6. Okay. So we're both top decking, but we're ahead on board. And they can only... Alright, that was pretty good. So what do they get? I guess they can just keep looping Boomerang Basics and Chakra Meditation, so that's annoying. That's a sorcery at least, so at least they can't do that at instant speed. And opponent sacrificed the token, so Jody's tapped. So right now we're hitting for 6. They return Jody to hand. Land. I mean, if I'd been them, I would have returned Chakra Meditation to hand, because that's an infinite loop they've got going on there. We'll hit opponent for 6. I do have some cards that want to discard, and my Cur tops out at 6, so I think I'll hold Swamp in hand. Our opponent did draw a couple of cards last turn, so... Long Pen. Into Jody. War Balloon. Okay, and I can put fire counters on it at instant speed, and I can do that multiple times. So I can play War Balloon, and then I'll still have 3 mana to turn it into an artifact creature, end of turn. Alright, so Long Fang... If we trade Daily Sensor and Jody, they get a counter on Long Fang, and then I can't attack. So I think it's Dragon Moose. So that way they have to double block, and I can get rid of Long Fang. If they want to block. Which... They could still take it, but their life total is starting to get pretty low. They might also chump with Jody, and then still get the counter. So that maybe I shouldn't have attacked. But we're gonna have the flying war balloon anyway, so... And the war balloon is a turn 2 clock. I'll keep Swamp in hand. Alright, so maybe I shouldn't have attacked. Opponent hits land. They're not in position to attack. Okay, that was perfect top deck. We'll just main phase this. Alright, so despite some misplays, we still got there in the end. I think opponent flooded out a bit, which benefited us. And they inexplicably bounced Jody with their boomerang instead of bouncing Chakra Meditation, which would have given them an infinite loop with the boomerang lesson there. And then how many lessons did they have in the graveyard? Because you need, I think with 3 lessons, you straight up drew a card. So they had 2 lessons. Alright, well, I'll take it. On we go. Keep forgetting to claim prizes in Midweek Magic. Alright, let's see what we get. Maybe it'll be a new avatar card. Nope. Squirming Emergence from Lost Caves of Ixalan. It saw some play early on in Reanimator decks, but it's been replaced by Kavero for sure. And, well, it must still be standard legal. I think it's standard legal rares that you get. So, anyway, I don't think it sees much constructed play anymore. At least not in standard. Alright, on we go. On the play, I've got lands and spells, but I don't think Dark Deal is particularly good. Although, being on the play with Dark Deal actually not that bad, because opponent will be discarding more cards. So that's something. Plus, although I've also got Corrupt Court Official, so Dark Deal won't be quite as good. I think I'll try my free mulligan and maybe see if I can't get one of Azula or Zuko in my opening hand, so we can try out some firebending shenanigans. I think if I didn't have the free mulligan, though, I would keep this hand. Okay, I've got Zuko and Mongoose Lizard to get Mountain if I don't draw one. Lo and Lee. Okay, I think we can try this. Although only 2 lands on the play. Could be sketchy, but I think we'll still try it. Gran, eh? Gran's pretty good. Azula Always Lies doesn't do anything. I think I'll Deadly Indoctrination. Earthbend 2 doesn't really do anything since the land will be tapped, so I guess we'll try and make them discard something. Odds are they should have a non-land permanent. And then next turn, if I haven't drawn land, I'll cycle Mongoose Lizard. Alright, let's see what we're working with here. Okay, so they're also blue-black. They've got Boomerang basics, that's good to know about. Pirate Peddlers, they don't have any sacrifice synergies. I think it's actually Canyon Crawler, because they've got lots of land, so they'll be able to play it. Whereas the Pirate Peddlers, they're not playing till turn 3, and it's only a 2/2. Alright, Gran is pretty nice, getting to loot. And with her 2 toughness, she dodges Azula Always Lies. Okay. Tap land. So I think I will still cycle the Mongoose Lizard end of turn. And then that way, next turn I can play Zuko, hold up Azula Always Lies. Opponent discarded a tap land with Gran. There's Pirate Peddlers. They don't attack. I guess because I've got 2 mana up. Alright, Firebending Lesson. Now, Pirate Peddlers hit a bit harder, but if they've got removal for Zuko, which do I want to take out more? Gran or Peddlers? They've got Uncommon Azula with Firebending 2. And Pirate Peddlers have Death Touch, so Azula Always Lies is not really going to work. Opponent doesn't attack. Alright, let's see what we draw here. Alright, Swamp. That's pretty good, actually, because that lets us play either low and delete or Fire Nation attacks. I think it's Fire Nation attacks, because that creates 2/2/2s instead of just the one. So I've got more blockers. It does mean tapping out. And Zuko doesn't have Firebending yet, because I haven't cast a spell during combat. He does have First Strike. I didn't realize that. I should have paid closer attention. But I'm tapped out, and Zuko doesn't have Firebending yet, so no attacks. But I'll have to keep the First Strike in mind. Opponent didn't have removal for Zuko, although they've got Boomerang Basics as a bounce spell. So they could easily bounce one of my tokens. So I'd have to triple block, and then I basically lose my entire board. So I think we take it here. And hope opponent doesn't have a instant that they can use the Firebending NF on. Okay, they didn't, so that was good at least. Alright, tapping Gran for Water Bend's pretty nice. The opponent doesn't have any lessons in their graveyards. Alright, so let's see here. Can attack. And they don't have Boomerang Basics up. So they don't need to worry about them bouncing the creature I put the counter on with Azula Always Lies. I think it's Zuko, just because of First Strike. Alright, don't mind a trade. Alright. And then I can kick Firebending Lesson. So I think I do that to get rid of Azula here. Alright. And then the nice thing is that Zuko's Firebending ability is equal to the number of experience counters I have, so opponent doesn't reset that if they bounce Zuko. They attack with Grand Grand, makes sense. Grand Grand doesn't have a good block. Alright, they discard Octopus form. They've got removal for Zuko. Well, that's too bad, but Zuko... So even though I'm not getting to take advantage of Zuko's ability with my experience counters, I still have them for Azula, who I can find with Lo and Lee. So I think it's Lo and Lee here. Alright, so I think we get Azula because I've got experience counters. And then next turn I can play Azula and Dai Li Censor, and we'll discard. I've got 6 lands. Opponent sacrifices their clue. I do want to eventually get to 9 mana to flashback Fire Nation attacks, but I don't really think that's a priority. So I'll discard extra lands to Azula. Alright, that's a big boy. I think I'll discard Dai Li Censor to draw a card. And then we'll see if we want to discard a card to Azula here. Well, it's got something they can do for 1 mana. Black mana though, so it's not a counter spell. We'll discard the Censor. Draw my Jaded Edge. I don't think Mai is very good here, because I don't have any non-creature spells in hand. So I think I discard her to Azula, so I can get an experience counter. Oh, it's when she attacks, I forgot. Not when she enters. Alright, whatever opponent had for 1 mana, they didn't cast it. So, in principle, I could block the Giant Koi, but then it would take out Azula and Lo and Lee. Okay, opponent bounces Grand Grand. That's too bad. Why does everyone have chakra meditation? Yep, sure thing. We'll have to take 5 here. So I'm not liking our chances. Epic downfall. Well, at least we can get rid of the giant koi. And the good thing for us is opponents already cast their boomerang basics, so they don't have the infinite loop with chakra meditation. So we are ahead on board. Sold out is instant speed. Discards land. Exiles my. Iguana Parrot. I guess I should have kept that in hand for discard, although I think Yuyan Archers is the only discard card I have other than Azula. I think I'm happy trading here. Opponent replays Grand Grand. Sacrifices Grand Grand to the Buzzard Wasp colony. Fortunately, Grand Grand did not have any counters on her. We draw land. How close are we to casting Fire Nation attack, flashing it back? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we... Another land lets us flash back Fire Nation attacks. Alright. So, we're ahead on the race. If opponent tries to race us with the Buzzard Wasp colony. Opponent takes it. So flashing back Fire Nation attacks could be pretty good. Opponent's got first time flyer. That's a problem. Well, I guess I can make opponent discard 2 cards, although they still get to draw a card. And I don't draw any. So they had It'll Quench You. Lonely doesn't have a good attack. So, yeah, Dark Deal, really not good. So I don't think we're winning this one. Even if we draw land 9 for Fire Nation attacks, because we're dead next turn. Corrupt Court Official. Opponent's empty-handed. Well, we're not winning this one. Oh well. We'll let them kill us. Alright. Well, better luck next time. On we go. On the play, I've got my and a non-creature spell to enable prowess. Deadly Sensor, haven't really been too impressed with that. 4 lands. I think this is keepable. I don't know how games will be like in regular Avatar Draft, but so far the games in Jump In have been pretty grindy. So I think I'll lead with my... Okay. So I was going to lead with my... because I didn't have a turn 3 play, so I could use her exhaust ability, but now that I have Fire Navy Trebuchet, I think I lead with the Sensor. It also hits a bit harder. Opponent also black-red. Hopefully they don't have Corrupt Court Official. Alright, I am quite happy to see them use a removal spell on my 2-drop. Alright, opponent's got War Balloon, that's a bit of a problem. Alright, sold out targets creatures. I have to wait until they either crew War Balloon or put 3 fire counters on it. Opponent cycles Mongoose Lizard. They've already played land for turn, so they can only put 2 fire counters on the War Balloon. Alright, opponent taps out. Mongoose Lizard. I've got 5 lands. So I don't think I want to cycle Mongoose Lizard, because I've got 5 lands already. Alright, there's opponent's rare. So they'll get... The War Balloon will get Firebending too. At least they can't Mentor. But I'm taking quite the hit here. Their opponent's black-red, so they might be able to take advantage of that mana. They'll take 8. I can block, but that's chumping. I don't think I want to do that yet, so we'll take it. Looks like they've got a trick. Fall to 10. Okay. At least we're getting opponent down to 10 as well. Okay, Dragon Moose. Opponent could have a trick, but I think we still block here. They did already use one combat trick. And it's a free attack, so... The problem is they can disguise having a combat trick with War Balloon. Would have preferred to draw a land so I could get Mongoose Lizard down. And if I had drawn land, I could play Lost in Memories and then immediately cast Sold Out. Alright, if opponents got instant speed removal, they can cast it no matter when I play Lost in Memories, so let's just play it now. Alright, well they didn't instantly remove Azula, I mean. And then... if they don't have instant speed removal, Azula Always Lies is lethal. Alright, we did it. Alright. Well, that was a lot faster. On we go. Keep forgetting to claim prize. Let's see what we got. Ooh, a mythic. From Dragonstorm. Taigam. Haven't seen Taigam much as a commander, but I'm sure he'd be interesting to build around. Anyway, on we go. Whoops. Thought I pressed play. Oh well, let's try that again. On we go. On the play, I think this would be keepable if I didn't have only swamps in hand. I keep getting opening hands with only swamps. Because having the cheap interaction is nice. And then Warp Balloon's pretty good. And it's really not that difficult to put fire counters on it and turn it into a creature. So I think Warp Balloon's pretty good here. But I think this is a mulligan. We get a free mulligan, so let's try and get a hand with both colors of mana. And we only have mountains now. Alright, I hate to say it, but I think we're going down to 6. Enulan lets us play Dark Deal, but Dark Deal is pretty bad, so I don't want it in my opening hand, I don't want to draw it, so we're going to 6. Alright, we can keep this, and then what to get rid of? I think it's Diley Indoctrination. Alright, so this is a little unfortunate. We're down a card. I don't have a play until Azula. And discarding cards to Azula when you've mulliganed seems pretty painful. I've got 4 lands, so I don't think I cycle the Canyon Crawler. Opponent green-red. The Kyoshi Battle Fan doesn't seem like a particularly great equipment, except it comes attached to a creature, so that makes it a lot better. Alright, there's land 5. Zula's a 3/3, so she can block the ally token. Hopefully opponent doesn't have removal for Azula, but they are playing green. They could have Lightning Strike, because they're in red. Green could have some big blockers. Mongoose Lizard. Mongoose Lizard might be better than Canyon Crawler, because I might be able to remove a creature with it. Alright, I think it's attack with Azula, discard the land, and then with the firebending mana I can cast Sold Out. And I've got 4 mana, so I'll discard Mountain. I think we let opponent block. They don't. They rightly suspect a trick. So we weren't able to get rid of both creatures. And we did discard a land, but I'll cycle Canyon Crawler, I think. Now I'll cycle Canyon Crawler. And we've got an experience counter. Opponent attacks. And they had the lightning strike for Azula. That's too bad. Alright, there's land. Alright, so Mongoose Lizard is going to be pretty good because it'll get rid of the ally token. So we'll cycle Canyon Crawler end of turn. Opponent did miss a land drop. Loyal Fire Sage. Pretty slow. And either of my 6 drops blocks it. I mean, I could try and hope I hit land 5, but if I don't hit land, I guess I hit a spell, and maybe that's fine. But I think I won't risk it. I'll just cycle the Crawler here to ensure I hit land 6. Too bad I don't have, what's its face? The reanimation spell. Alright, Fire Nation attacks. I think it's Mongoose Lizard. Mongoose Lizard should also be difficult for red-green to remove. Make sure I select the right side. And it's got something they can do for 1 mana at instant speed. Could be the lesson. Probably not a protection spell. If they'd had green untapped, they might have had a protection spell. I'm not sure what the green protection tricks are in this format. We know about the blue one from, we learned about that one the hard way. Alright, my not looking too hot, although I've got Fire Nation attacks to go with her. And I could play my... put a double strike counter on her. This, interestingly, is an instant. And you can exhaust at instant speed. Do I attack with the Mongoose Lizard? I don't think I do, because I'm taking 7 on the way back. I think opponent's ahead on board right now. Zuko with Firebending 3 is pretty good. He enables his own ability, in fact. Alright, just Zuko attacks. Do I block Zuko with Mongoose Lizard? I don't think they've got something that'll kill a lizard. And usually some first strike tricks do give you a bunch of extra power. Alright, I actually don't mind that. Because it's still a trade, as far as I know. Alright, land. I do want lands for flashing Fire Nation attacks back, but I have the one creature that discards card. Azula sadly is gone. Alright, so let's attack with Mai, and we'll flash in, we'll cast Fire Nation attacks at instant speed, whether they block or not. They're not likely to block, because I've got 6 mana up. Alright. The opponent can do something for 2 mana, but it must not be a combat trick, because they didn't play it with Zuko. I'll hold land. And it's not removable, so I'm not sure what it is. But now we're ahead, although opponent does have 5 cards in hand. They've been missing land drops, so they've got all action. I guess with the firebending mana I get from the soldiers, I can cast Fire Nation attacks. Alright, and then I can take firebending lessons now. I guess we'll do it during combat once I get the firebending mana. Alright. Opponent hits land. Alright, I guess opponent's got Earthbend synergy. Frantic confrontation, you say, and opponent's tapped out. Alright, how much can I cast Frantic Confrontation for? I've got 7, 8, 9. I could also flashback Fire Nation attacks, but Frantic Confrontation is just game winning. So X equals 8. Alright. Okay. Alright. Okay, so I wasn't sure how good Mai was, but she's definitely performed in this game and the last game. Basically, we won because of Mai, so I think that was a pretty impressive showing. Alright, let's see. This time I won't forget. Let's see what our mystery cosmetic is. It's not a parallax card style. Alright. Let's just take a quick look at the deck. I won't go over every card the way I did when we started. So, the land cyclers were fine. Mongoose Lizard was good. It got pinged the token there and traded for Zuko. Never played Canyon Crawler. It was good to and then cycling them was pretty useful, even at 2 mana. Didn't get to make much use of Azula or Zuko because opponents kept having removal for them, but they are removal magnets. And then Mai was better than I expected she would be. Lost in Memories was fine because it pumped up Mai, so we won. But the fact that it's when it deals combat damage to a player that the card gets flashback, that's a lot less useful. And then Dark Deal, yeah, don't draft that card. I'm pretty sure it's bad. So you better hope when you're playing Jump In, if you pick the Azula packet, that you swap out Dark Teal for something else. I mean, I guess it works with Azula because you get 2 experience counters from Dark Deal because both players discard their cards. But I still don't think that even with that synergy that it's good enough. I just don't think it's very good at all. Combat tricks were good. Firebending was pretty good. We definitely, I think, most combats where we had firebending, we were able to make use of the mana. So as long as you build your deck around firebending with like combat tricks and instant speed removal, I think it'll be pretty good. War Balloon was good. It wasn't really that hard to get 3 fire counters on it. Anyway, so that'll do it. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you please like and subscribe. I'm definitely planning on doing more Avatar content, including some Avatar commanders in Brawl. So look forward to those. And thanks again for watching. Hope you have a good one. Bye.